Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 35 based on novel. So let's start. Xie slashed out a light dragon blade while sliding to the side, rapidly closing the distance between him and another green wolf. Pu. One of the green wolves had their neck sliced open by the light dragon blade, uttering a sad cry as blood sprayed out. Xie agilely moved toward another green wolf, but it opened its mouth and released a green wind blade at him. Xie responded to this attack by bending his body, completely avoiding the wind blade. With his back bent, he pounced on the green wolf. After a sweep of his two daggers, the wolf's throat was torn open and he arrived at another wolf's side. With a flick of his wrist, he cut open an artery on the wolf's neck with his shadow dragon dagger, immediately releasing another burst of blood. It only took a moment before life ceased to course through the wolf's veins. Although his attack had gone according to his plan, causing 3 wolves to die, the wolves were launching their assault now too. Dozens of wind blades were flying toward him at that moment. Xie dodged with all his might, but he sustained some injuries on his back and left leg from the wolves he had just engaged with. His jacket was already dyed crimson. Bastard! Xie screamed, then rolled to the side, evading another wind blade as he brandished his 2 daggers and continued to wage war against this pack of wolves. He didn't dare to use a soul skill with the meager amount of soul power he had left. His left leg was injured and proved to be a burden on his speed now, while his entire body was covered in scars and bruises. It had only been a few moments, yet he was already soaked in blood. The scene of their battle could only be described as one of desperation. For every wolf he killed, multiple wounds were inflicted on his body in exchange. Despite being completely soaked in blood, he didn't falter and retreat. From beginning to end, he was moving in circles around the crystallized Tang Wulin, protecting him from the wolves. With his light dragon dagger and shadow dragon dagger in hand, he continued his reckless defense against the wolves' attacks. The dark yellow energy finally receded, and Tang Wulin's senses gradually began to return to him. The first thing he smelled was the stench of blood. After a moment, he saw a crimson figure that was barely able to remain standing. Woo! A wolf howled, drawing an especially large green wolf to pounce on the bloody figure. I'll fight you to the death. Xie's crazed roar woke Tang Wulin from his stupor. The light and shadow dragon daggers scattered at that moment. The green wolf landed on Xie and pushed him down. It opened a mouthful of sharp daggers and bit at Xie's neck. Bang, bang, bang. A silver light flew over and 3 booms resounded one after another. The giant wolf cried out in pain as it belatedly realized that its skull had already been cracked open. Dazed, Xie only felt someone slap the back of his hand, and in the next moment, darkness entered his eyes. He didn't know what was going on anymore. After crushing the skull of the wolf that was on top of Xie, Tang Wulin took in the bitter scene around him, renewing his determination. He didn't see Guu anywhere and guessed that she had already returned. He hit the button on the back of his hand, and darkness entered his eyes just like the others. After disappearing from the forest, the wind blades shot by the wolves were met with nothing but air. Darkness was replaced with light as Tang Wulin quickly shot out of the metal box and shouted, Xie. Tang Wulin squinted his eyes to avoid being dazzled by the sudden presence of light as he searched for Xie. He saw Zhong Yangzi, the twitching Wang Jinsi and Guu, who was sitting pale-faced. Then there was the open metal box beside him. Tang Wulin rushed over to the box that Xie was in. Xie. Tang Wulin anxiously called out. I'm fine. Just a bit sore. Xie said weakly, as he struggled to open his eyes. Tang Wulin was finally able to relax now that he knew Xie was all right. A wave of exhaustion and the feeling of the crystal suffocation overcame him. His legs lost strength, making him fall onto his butt. Wu Zhongkong and Long Hongshu stood to the side. Long Hongshu was thoroughly shocked, while Wu Zhongkong remained as unperturbed as usual. The Spirit Pagoda staff member exclaimed sincerely, "Geniuses! They truly are geniuses worth nurturing." Are you sure these children are only 9 years old? The gaze of the staff member was burning with expectation, especially when he turned his gaze to Tang Wulin, Xie Xie, and Ji Yu. He had watched their whole performance. The most breathtaking scene was undoubtedly when Tang Wulin had taken down a powerful soul beast in only 2 strikes. His transformed right hand had clearly possessed strength several times higher than normal. Not only was it able to kill the 100-year horned dragon in a single strike, but it had also been strong enough to crush the 1000-year crystal bear. If they had been a bit more knowledgeable about the crystal bear, then they wouldn't have suffered at the end, and their kill would have been considered perfect. Ji Yu's performance was equally worthy of admiration. Her coordination with Tang Wulin had been amazing. She had used a variety of elements at optimal moments to aid him, and it was also thanks to her that Tang Wulin hadn't been harmed at the end. She had actually used her own body to hold up his crystallized form, which weighed over 500 kilograms, to prevent it from shattering. The staff member knew that in situations like those, people normally wouldn't have the time to consider whether things were real or virtual. The fact that Ji Yu had been able to make such a quick decision to save Tang Wulin meant that even in reality, she would have been just as decisive. They were only 9-year-old children. With such a strong friendship, how could their coordination not be this deep? No wonder East Sea Academy is willing to spend so much money to bring them here. Although they weren't in the Spirit Ascension platform for long, they were faced with the greatest obstacles the whole time. And Xie Xie at the end. Despite knowing he was no match for the wolves, he had stayed behind for the sake of his comrade. He had continued to protect Tang Wulin until the crystallization disappeared and was finally sent out only when Tang Wulin had been freed. Although one wouldn't truly die in the Spirit Ascension platform, the injuries they sustained all felt exceedingly real. Xie Xie had suffered tens of cuts on his body, yet he had still continued to fight and protect Tang Wulin all the way until the end. During that whole time, he had been minimizing the injuries he sustained while maximizing the number of enemies he killed. He had simply been extraordinary. This staff member had never seen such outstanding first-time performances from Soul Masters before. Even more so astonishing was the fact that these children only had either 1 or 2 rings. Wu Zhongkong slowly walked over to the 5 students, his dull voice filling their ears. From now on, you 5 are a mini-battle squadron. The captain is Tang Wulin, and the vice-captain is Xie Xie. Let's go. Finished speaking, he began leading them toward the elevator. The 5 looked at each other in dismay and shock as a single thought entered their heads. Mini-squadron? Wang Jinsi looked at Tang Wulin, then Zhong Yangzi, whose face was unsightly, but more than that, it was full of shame. Before coming here, Zhong Yangzi had been full of ambition and competitiveness, but after witnessing the events in the Spirit Ascension platform, his ambitions had been completely washed away from his heart. Without even speaking of his strength, just his actions in the Spirit Ascension platform had been severely lacking in comparison with his peers. Regardless of whether it was Tang Wulin who had killed 2 powerful soul beasts, the self-sacrificing Ji Yu, or Xie Xie who had fought nearly to the death for his comrade, every single one of them had been remarkable. When compared with those 3, he and Wang Jinsi were simply too lacking. Wang Jinsi had met his demise after encountering a powerful soul beast, but him? He had simply been courting disaster. On the road home, the 5 students were still brooding over the events in the Spirit Ascension platform. Zhong Yangzi was full of remorse, while Tang Wulin pondered over the situation inside of the Spirit Ascension platform, the battles replaying over and over inside his mind. What he was certain about, however, was that their battles in the Spirit Ascension platform today had been incredibly stimulating. Tang Wulin had a particularly profound impression. I actually fought with a soul beast. So that's what it feels like to battle against a soul beast. Even though I know everything was virtual inside of the Spirit Ascension platform, I can't help but feel a bit frightened when I recall it. That was the pressure of a battle of life and death. Cultivating in situations like that really is far better. Tang Wulin suddenly felt warmth spread from his spine to his whole body. At first, it was so faint that he could barely feel it, but the closer they got to the academy, the more apparent the feeling became. As the warmth diffused into his 4 limbs and seeped into his bones, he felt exceptionally comfortable, but at the same time, exhaustion washed over him. To his side, Gu discovered that Tang Wulin's entire body was swaying as he stumbled forth. She quickly supported him, worriedly asking, "Wulin, what's going on?" "I don't know, I just feel really sleepy." With Gu's support, it was like a switch had been flipped. His entire body went weak and collapsed into Gu's arms. Wu Zhongkong halted mid-step and quickly turned around, astonishment coloring his face. The others had also started to notice Tang Wulin's abnormal behavior. In a flash, Wu Zhongkong appeared in front of Tang Wulin, quickly taking his wrist. Tang Wulin's skin shined with a golden blue layer of light as he lay unconscious, his breathing haggard. This kind of situation, when Long Hongshu arrived and saw the state that Tang Wulin was in, he couldn't help but think of a certain possibility. His gaze grew rapt with attention. Wu Zhongkong hefted Tang Wulin onto his back. "He's fine, it's just that his spirit soul is evolving." "Ah?" All four students exclaimed in unison. Spirit soul evolution? On their way to the spirit ascension platform, Xie had already explained to Tang Wulin how it was possible to evolve his spirit soul inside of it, but he had only been speaking of a possibility. A spirit soul evolution was so rare that it was like winning a lottery ticket. The opportunity to enter a spirit ascension platform even once was hard to come by, much less a chance to kill powerful soul beasts. Furthermore, the 1,000-year crystal bear they had encountered today had been an extremely formidable foe, such that even three-ringed soul elders would have found it challenging. In fact, they would have needed at least a team of 7 people to defeat it. In such a situation, everyone who had paid a large price to enter the Spirit Ascension platform would always dispute over who would land the final strike on the soul beast and reap the rewards. However, either way, they would suffer many casualties fighting against such a powerful soul beast. Under the shocked stares of everyone, Wu Zhongkong spoke calmly. "His spirit soul is naturally weak, so it's easier for it to evolve. For every soul beast you kill in the Spirit Ascension platform, you obtain 1/10 of its cultivation energy. That energy, in turn, will be spread evenly among your soul rings. In other words, if you kill a 10-year soul beast, your spirit soul will gain 1 year's worth of cultivation energy. If your spirit soul has 110 years of energy, then it will become 111 years of energy. When it accumulates till it reaches 1,000, then it will evolve. Tang Wulin's spirit soul is only 10 years. He gained at least 20 years' worth of energy from killing the 100-year soul beast, and 100 years' worth of energy from the 1,000-year soul beast. Furthermore, since he only has one soul ring, all of the energy was concentrated into that one ring, allowing him to evolve his 10-year spirit soul into a 100-year spirit soul. As for the rest of you, you will need to kill at least 18 or 19,000-year soul beasts to evolve your spirit soul. With this in mind, do your best in the future." That was right. Apart from Tang Wulin and Gu, everyone else had 2 soul rings. This meant that the energy they obtained from killing a soul beast would be split between 2 soul rings, with each ring receiving 5% of the original. Although there would still be some benefits, it was far harder to evolve their spirit soul. Not mentioning killing a 1,000-year soul beast, even if it was just trying to find that many 1,000-year soul beasts in the elementary Spirit Ascension platform, it was already exceedingly difficult. So in the end, there were still benefits to having 1 ring. After returning to the academy, Wu Zhongkong silently dismissed everyone to return to their dorms and cultivate. They needed to digest today's combat experiences, and Tang Wulin would remain muddle-headed until his spirit soul finished its evolution. An analysis of today's events was better left for tomorrow. Wu Zhongkong brought Tang Wulin back to his dorm. The only thing was, Wu Zhongkong stayed, even after dropping Tang Wulin off. For anyone else, Wu Zhongkong wouldn't do such things, but Tang Wulin was different. Tang Wulin had a unique, mutated martial soul. Wu Zhongkong had to ensure that Tang Wulin wouldn't be endangered during his spirit soul's evolution. Tang Wulin's experience this time was a far cry from when he had broken the first seal. As his spirit soul evolved, he felt as if he was soaking in a warm pond. This warmth penetrated into the bones of his body, gently circulating inside of him. He was completely free of any worries in such a comfortable state. His body was beaten and his spirit exhausted, but his tiredness gradually dissolved under this warmth. Tang Wulin didn't even want to open his eyes as he basked in this wonderful feeling. As he continued to soak in the warmth, the golden halo around his body gradually turned blue. Strand after strand of blue-silver grass began to extend from his palms, surrounding him. Wu Zhongkong gently twirled a strand of blue-silver grass around his finger. He carefully examined it, eyes brightening with astonishment. Is this really blue-silver grass? It wasn't abnormal for blue-silver grass to become vine-like or elastic, but what really amazed him was the fact that he could see energy channels within the blue-silver grass. These energy channels glowed with a faint, golden light. Together with the faint, blue glow of the grass itself, it greatly resembled the golden blue light that was covering Tang Wulin's body right now. Moreover, Wu Zhongkong discovered that the faint, vein lines grew more distinct under the light of the energy channels, as if they were some sort of fine imprint. All of these details were noted under Wu Zhongkong's careful observation. Just as I thought, his bloodline is causing his martial soul to mutate again. From what I can see, this should be a very beneficial mutation. He already has his golden dragon claw, which gives him power beyond his rank. Although it can't be sustained for long and is restricted to close combat, it's still a huge boost to his power. The only thing I'm uncertain of is whether or not his bloodline can evolve further. If it can, that would truly be a sight to behold. Right at that moment, a faint golden light flashed from Tang Wulin's chest, and gold light slithered out. It had grown to be approximately 10 centimeters long, and about as thick as Tang Wulin's little finger. Although it was still as slender as before, its golden scales were far more eye-catching now. The scales on its forehead were a different shade of gold. Compared to the other scales on its body, the gold shined dazzlingly. With each breath it took, the scales grew even more radiant, and its previously murky eyes clearer. A dim, yellow halo appeared from Gold Light's body, incomparably stronger than its previous white. It evolved, it really evolved. It was a 100-year spirit soul now. Tang Wulin's defective spirit soul had evolved to a 100-year spirit soul due to his hard work in the Spirit Ascension platform and his bloodline's power. It finally had some value to it. Wu Zhongkong nodded slightly. Not bad. Tang Wulin has finally made up for his shortcoming. But how will his soul skill change after his spirit soul's evolution? Will its transformation make him even stronger? As a teacher, Wu Zhongkong couldn't be clearer about Tang Wulin's weak points. His strong points were obvious. He had innate divine strength, and a bloodline power that allowed him to dominate his peers. His weaknesses, though, were just as obvious. When it came down to it, a soul master's strength came from their martial soul. If their martial soul wasn't powerful, then they wouldn't be able to walk far on the path of cultivation. Physical strength and bloodline power certainly had their benefits, but there had never been anyone in the entire history of soul masters who had climbed to the peak with just these two things. Tang Wulin wanted to grow stronger, so his martial soul had to grow stronger too. The spirit soul was a part of the martial soul, so any improvements to it would have a significant impact. Tang Wulin's martial soul had already become an extension of his own body, but his control over it during combat wasn't great. He simply used it like rope. Wu Zhongkong was able to clearly discern these issues, but he didn't talk to Tang Wulin about them because he knew just how amazing Tang Wulin's perception was. He had faith in that Tang Wulin would discover these flaws himself. Moreover, Wu Zhongkong wanted to see if Tang Wulin's bloodline power would gain any other effects when he reached rank 20. But now, he didn't even need to wait until Tang Wulin reached that rank. The answer had already presented itself. If it's like this, then the growth of his martial soul is something to look forward to. Wu Zhongkong had never believed that blue-silver grass was a weak martial soul. After all, the strongest member of the first generation of Shrek 7 monsters, who was also the strongest soul master in history, had eventually ascended to godhood with blue-silver grass at the beginning. It was through using blue-silver grass that he had taken one step after another on the path toward godhood. In the last 20,000 years, apart from the Spirit Pagoda's founder, no one else had been able to ascend to godhood. Thus, blue-silver grass wasn't necessarily as weak as one may think. The radiance emitting from Tang Wulin gradually dimmed. Little gold light opened its mouth wide as if to yawn before lowering its head, disappearing into Tang Wulin's body. With the evolution now complete, Tang Wulin stopped glowing and entered a deep slumber. The evolution of a spirit soul would lead to many changes both in the martial soul and the soul master. An improvement in one's martial soul also led to gains for the soul master as a whole. Whether it be in terms of strength, speed, soul power, reaction speed, or the tenacity of one's body, all of them would be increased. Sun with rays. The evolution had taken a long time and left Tang Wulin exhausted. That was some great sleep. Tang Wulin woke up the next day feeling incredible. Ever since he broke the first seal on the Golden Dragon King, he felt as if his whole body was swollen. But now, this feeling had disappeared, leaving a pleasant surprise in its place. His soul power had increased a bit, and though it had yet to reach rank 15, this increase was still something that would have taken far longer had he cultivated normally. It seems I benefited a lot from yesterday's battle. You up? The southern voice gave Tang Wulin quite the scare. He looked over to discover Wu Zhongkong sitting legs crossed on a chair nearby. Teacher, you. After staring blankly at Wu Zhongkong for a moment, Tang Wulin started to recall the events of the previous evening, and of how Wu Zhongkong had watched over him throughout the night. His heart surged with warmth as he quickly got off his bed. Wu Zhongkong met his eyes and said, "Wash up and go eat breakfast. Your spirit soul has evolved so we can go test the changes that your soul skill gained after that." Having finished speaking, he got up, patted Tang Wulin on the shoulder, then left. Spirit soul evolution? A spirit soul evolution? My spirit soul evolved. Tang Wulin stood there stunned. His spirit soul had always been a sore spot for him. His heart would ache whenever he saw his comrades and their 100-year spirit souls. He compared them with his own mere 10-year spirit soul. With his competitive spirit, it had simply been too demoralizing. When Xie Xie told him about the possibility of a spirit soul evolving in the Spirit Ascension platform, he hadn't seriously taken it to heart. After all, it wasn't something he would even dare dream of. But Wu Zhongkong wouldn't lie to him. With a flash of light, his blue-silver grass appeared and a halo rose from beneath him. The originally white soul ring had been transformed into a soul ring with a gentle yellow glow. It was yellow. 100-year soul ring. Little gold light slithered out onto Tang Wulin's shoulder. Tang Wulin lifted his hand toward it and it slithered onto his palm. After carefully examining gold light, Tang Wulin's eyes became a bit dull as he reminisced for a moment. Not too long ago, he had been filled with sorrow to the point of wishing for death due to this little gold light. It had been a defective spirit soul that represented 3 years' worth of hard-earned money. Amidst his despair at that time, it had only been due to his sheer willpower that he had been able to persevere. At last, his source of sorrow had now turned into a source of joy. Gold light could no longer be considered trash now that it had evolved. As a 100-year spirit soul, it could provide him with 2 soul rings. This meant that he didn't need to purchase another spirit soul for a while longer. With gold light's evolution, he could save even more money and buy the spirit items needed to break the second seal. Tang Wulin released a long sigh as these thoughts crossed his mind. He felt that now, endless possibilities had opened up to him. Bind! With his command, strand after strand of blue-silver grass shot out and bound everything in his room. Along with the evolution of his spirit soul, Tang Wulin discovered that his blue-silver grass had grown thicker, become more tenacious, and consumed less soul power than before. When he used his soul skill, a golden color, the same as gold light's color, appeared in his mind. This had never happened before. Gold light, what's this? You. Without even waiting for Tang Wulin to finish speaking, gold light suddenly sprang forth and sank into the numerous strands of blue-silver grass. Immediately, several strands of blue-silver grass turned golden as they were covered by a fine layer of scales. Is this a fusion of the spirit soul and martial soul? It is. Little gold light isn't a defective product anymore. He can help me in combat now. When Tang Wulin tugged on a strand of golden blue-silver grass, he immediately discovered that not only was it tougher than before, it was also stronger than the other normal strands of blue-silver grass. This strand of blue-silver grass felt as if it were an extension of himself, like an additional limb. Although it wasn't nearly as strong as his right arm with the golden scales, it was still only just slightly weaker than his left arm. This is 100-year spirit soul. With how strong my blue-silver grass is now, my bind will definitely be much more impactful from now on. Tang Wulin's face was plastered with a knowing smile as he rushed out of his room, cheering. It was still early in the morning and the first glimmers of light had just then creeped up over the horizon. After washing his face, he madly rushed over to the training field. Evolved. My spirit soul evolved. I'm the same as the others now. I have 100-year spirit soul too. With 100-year soul ring. Tang Wulin shouted with excitement in his heart as the wind swept past him, seemingly dispersing the haze within him. This spirit soul evolution didn't only upgrade his strength, it had also given him peace of mind. He was able to circulate his soul power more smoothly than before, while the power of his bloodline and martial soul seemed to fuse under these bizarre circumstances. Standing outside the dormitory's doors, Ouyang Zixin stared at the scene in shock. A youngster was running wildly on the training field with his arms spread wide. What's going on with him? Ouyang Zixin couldn't help but smile at this scene. This boy is really interesting. After running for some time, Tang Wulin caught sight of a beautiful figure and slowed his pace at last. Good morning, senior sister. Tang Wulin wasn't his usual bashful self today and had actually taken the initiative to call out to Ouyang Zixin. Tang Wulin's large eyes were shining and his cheeks flushed with wildness, showing off his youthful vigor. Why are you so happy, junior brother? Ouyang Zixin curiously asked. Tang Wulin laughed. It's nothing really. I merely made a breakthrough in my cultivation, so I'm pretty happy. Ouyang Zixin beamed a smile at him. That's good then. Fight on. Amen. This is how a kid should act. You shouldn't always be so depressed, looking like an old man. After all, you're still only 10 years old. Child? Tang Wulin was stunned and awkwardness filled his heart. So I'm just a child in her eyes. Tang Wulin's body was feverishly hot by the time the sky had lit up and he went to the dining hall. The first window provided nourishing gourmet food that comforted Tang Wulin's gloomy heart. After all, wasn't a good frame of mind beneficial to his cultivation speed? Tell me about your thoughts on your experiences in the Spirit Ascension platform yesterday. Wu Zhongkong stood at the lectern and unenthusiastically told his 5 students. Wang Jinsi's and Zhong Yang's eyes were puffy and dark. Clearly, they hadn't had a good night's rest. The difference, though, was that Zhong Yang's restless night was due to depression, while Wang Jinsi's was caused by nightmares. Wang Jinsi simply couldn't forget the chill the man-faced demon spider instilled in him. That chill had reached to the depths of his very soul. He had felt like he was truly about to die at that moment. It was a terrifying feeling that was permanently etched into his heart. Xie's complexion wasn't too healthy either. After fighting a bloody battle yesterday and receiving countless injuries, his nightmares were filled with wolves throwing themselves upon him. One after another, it had been impossible for him to meditate calmly and recover properly under such circumstances. In fact, he had tumbled onto the ground midway through the night, waking him from his nightmare. Contrary to the others, Guu was just the same as usual. Tang Wulin was the only one in high spirits. After all, how could he not rejoice after his spirit soul evolved? We'll go in order of yesterday's eliminations. Zhong Yangzi, you first. Seeing that no one wanted to be the first to speak, Wu Zhongkong singled out Zhong Yangzi by name. Yes? Zhong Yangzi responded in embarrassment and quickly stood up. My performance yesterday was simply horrible. Teacher Wu, I was wrong. Wu Zhongkong rebuked him with a wave of his hand. I don't need you to tell me you were wrong, it's your own life after all. What you can do, however, is use this chance to acknowledge your errors and improve yourself. If you had really been in a soul beast forest yesterday, then all that would have remained of you would be a corpse. In fact, your skeleton might also have been destroyed. So tell me then, what do you think of your experience and of yourself in the Spirit Ascension platform yesterday? Zhong Yang's face twitched awkwardly. The world of the Spirit Ascension platform is too realistic. I couldn't feel anything unauthentic about it at all. I was really curious about the world when I first entered, so I climbed up a tree to survey my surroundings. With my martial soul's ability to glide, I thought I would be able to fly in any direction I wanted, so I did. In the beginning, I didn't do anything wrong. My mistake was underestimating my opponent afterward. I was arrogant and didn't carefully observe my surroundings when I chose to impulsively battle it. In the end, I was besieged on all sides and was quickly eliminated. The next time I enter the Spirit Ascension platform, I will be far more careful and place preserving my life as the #1 priority. That way, I'll be able to survive even longer. Finished with his summary, Zhong Yangzi sat back down. Without any words of criticism or praise for Zhong Yangzi's assessment of himself, Wu Zhongkong simply moved on to Wang Jinci. How about you? Wang Jinci forced out a bitter laugh. Teacher Wu, right now I can't really remember too much about what happened in there. The only thing I remember vividly is that face falling on me from above and the soul-freezing chill that followed it. The way it trapped me still gives me nightmares. I'm not even sure how I should react if I were to face it again in the future. Wu Zhongkong calmly spoke. You need to relax your mind and take several days to recover. Your situation is actually a bit special. The man-faced demon spider is an extremely rare and powerful soul beast. Even at the 100-year level, it's able to hunt 1,000-year soul beasts. Although there's no shame in dying to it, you must remember to immediately press the exit button the moment you encounter such a powerful soul beast next time. You actually face some danger to your real self when it killed you this time. Teacher Wu is consoling someone? No way. Thank you, teacher. Wu Zhongkong then turned to Ji Yu. Ji Yu was prepared and quickly gave her analysis. The Spirit Ascension platform is an exceedingly realistic world and I felt that I was truly in an ancient forest during my stay there. I really like it in there. It's great. Battles with soul beasts are really realistic. I can't see a single difference from real combat. Is that it? Wu Zhongkong made a slight frown when he saw Ji Yu sitting down so quickly. Ji Yu nodded. Wu Zhongkong prodded her on. Then explain to me, how were you able to find Tang Wulin? Ji Yu was stunned. It was just by chance. Chance? Wu Zhongkong's eyes narrowed suspiciously. Xie running into Tang Wulin can be considered chance since they weren't too far from each other in the beginning and Xie had only encountered Tang Wulin after running around chaotically. But you were quite far from Tang Wulin, yet as soon as you encountered the crystal bear, you immediately chose a direction to flee in, and this was precisely in the direction of Tang Wulin. Furthermore, the direction you fled would continuously adjust for Tang Wulin's position when he moved elsewhere. How could you have encountered him by chance? It's simply impossible to be that lucky. Ji Yu remained silent while Tang Wulin looked at her in shock. How was she able to pinpoint my position? Tang Wulin didn't have a complete understanding of all the events that had happened yesterday. All he knew was that Xie had fought a bloody battle against a pack of wolves for him. As for Ji Yu, he had no idea how or why she left. I'll admit it. I have a way of tracking him by controlling the elements. I can place a marker on the bodies of my comrades by manipulating the elements. This marker lets me find them easily. I thought that being with Tang Wulin would be the safest decision, so I prioritized finding him first. Ji Yu finally gave a seemingly far-fetched explanation. I see. Wu Zhongkong didn't pry too deeply and simply moved on to Xie. It's your turn. Xie began going over his experience. I really like it in there too. The feeling of hunting soul beasts in the forest is so invigorating. That sort of forest environment is really suitable for us agility system soul masters, and my ability to survive increases with the improvement of my speed. My final battle against those green wolves felt amazing too. I had to carefully avoid any fatal injuries while fighting a battle of attrition. I learned the theory of such battles before, but that was the first time I had actually experienced the bitterness of such a bloody fight. I gained a lot of combat experience this time, and I learned the importance of avoiding injuries to vital parts. The very last person to go was Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin muttered a few words under his breath, before he began voicing his thoughts. We were actually really lucky to be able to kill a 1,000-year crystal bear this time. If we made even the slightest mistake, we would have died. Although I knew that the forest is virtual, it was so realistic that I was no longer able to differentiate it from reality. I subconsciously began treating everything like it were real. Especially the injuries. I could feel all the pains and aches of the injuries I had sustained in there. The sensation of battling with an actual soul beast is also very helpful to improving my combat abilities. I think that if we could continue to cultivate in such an environment, we will be able to become true soul masters. Furthermore, I feel that we need to strengthen our cooperation as a team, so that we'll be able to face even stronger soul beasts in the future. Wu Zhongkong nodded in approval after hearing their evaluations. If I were to score your performances in the Spirit Ascension platform this time, then, Zhong Yangzi, 0 points. Wang Jinsi, 1 point. Ji Yu, 5 points. Xie Xie, 5 points. And Tang Wulin, 4 points. Zhong Yangzi and Wang Jinsi expected that they would receive low scores, but when they all heard Tang Wulin's score, they were shocked. If Tang Wulin hadn't killed the 100-year horned dragon and 1,000-year crystal bear, then Xie Xie and Ji Yu would have died far earlier. Tang Wulin, do you know why you scored less than Xie Xie and Ji Yu? Wu Zhangkong's burning gaze locked onto Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin lowered his head and pondered over it. Although he had also been stunned when he heard his score since he thought he'd done the best, Wu Zhongkong challenged him to come up with the reasoning, so he began to consider it seriously. As he continued to mull over the events of the day before, Tang Wulin gradually understood Wu Zhangkong's reasoning. Ji Yu's score is higher than mine because of the coordination in our joint attack. It was only because of her excellent control over the elements that we were successful in killing the crystal bear. Xie Xie's score is higher because he risked his life to defend me from the pack of wolves. Wu Zhongkong corrected him. That's not all of it. If Ji Yu hadn't sacrificed herself to catch you when you were crystallized, you would have shattered into pieces. Although you wouldn't have died in reality, you would have suffered from residual effects like Wang Jinsi and experienced some dangers. If we count the minor details, then Ji Yu would actually have the highest score out of all of you. As for Xie Xie, his score isn't higher than yours because he saved you, but because of his greater knowledge of soul beasts. You were deducted points because you were crystallized after killing the crystal bear. If you had studied more and had known the traits and features of a crystal bear, then you would have known that its soul power explodes when it is on the verge of death, crystallizing everything in a certain radius. You would also have known that the stronger the crystal bear, the greater the radius of its soul power explosion. Clearly, however, you were lacking in such knowledge. This video will end here.